Hi, thanks for joining me on this journey to become a super sleeper. I'm going to get into my story a little bit and why this YouTube channel even exists right now. So according to the CDC, in 2020, 14.5% of adults had trouble falling asleep most or every day over the past 30 days. 17.8% of adults had trouble staying asleep. Now, this is problematic because the science is increasingly suggesting that sleep is the most potent drug we can take to lead a healthier and longer life. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like I can conquer the world after a good night of sleep. And with a crappy night of sleep, I feel like I'm just trying to push through that day and just want to get back to my bed and sleep again and hope tomorrow will be better. And I don't want to go through my life that way. I want to thrive and have the confidence that I'll get the rest and the recovery my body needs each and every single night. So let me introduce myself to you and set up this journey in this YouTube channel a little bit. I'm Tony. I'm 40 years old. I couldn't be a more proud dad of two boys, Parker and Ben. They're 12 and 10. I've got a wonderful and beautiful wife, fortunate enough to have what I would call a dream job. And I have the resources to where money isn't really a major stressor in my life. I'll end up sharing more about the personal details in my uploads, but you probably get the gist. I'm so lucky in so many ways. So what's the big deal? But one place that I've struggled forever is my sleep. I never thought of myself as a poor sleeper because I've always been able to band-aid it. I used over-the-counter medications to knock myself out. It started with melatonin, then it progressed to ZzzQuil, which has the same active ingredient as Benadryl. And sometimes I'd even use NyQuil, even when I'm not sick, just when I felt like I needed a little extra strength. And that stuff worked for years until it didn't. So let me start with this story and maybe you can relate, or maybe this will trigger something about your own journey and you can apply it yourself. So back in September, I was on vacation with my family and we forgot to pack my ZzzQuil. And I couldn't find any of it anywhere on the premises, only melatonin. Well, it turns out that after years of taking ZzzQuil each and every night, I probably developed a pretty good dependence on it. So the worst case scenario, not only was ZzzQuil not really actually helping me to get to sleep anymore, even if it was a placebo for me, if I didn't take it, it turns out that sleep was entirely impossible. I spent 2 straight nights awake until about 3 a.m. at what's supposed to be the happiest place on earth, Walt Disney World. And let's just say it was not so happy those next days. I finally went out of my way to get some ZzzQuil my last night and I slept. I got home and I chalked it up to a few bad nights and got back into my routine and started sleeping again. I even went on a work trip and stayed in 3 hotels and three different nights and I slept. But then in November, one night I woke up in the middle of the night at home and I utterly couldn't go back to sleep. Now that was a Sunday night. I had to work the next day. I panicked and my panic kept me up from sleeping most of the rest of that night. All right, no big deal. I'll make it up the Monday night. But in the back of my mind, that seed had been planted. Was I no longer a sleeper? That Monday night, extreme difficulty falling and staying asleep again, and it was all over. Now it was in my head. I began to experience extreme anxiety from the moment my alarm went off in the morning. I had anxiety over the upcoming night, even though it was 16 hours away, just crazy. And the anxiety got worse as I got closer to bed. So you know what I did? I drank. Alcohol can mask anxiety when you've had enough of it, and I used the alcohol to pass out all throughout the holiday season. Imagine going through a full holiday season hungover. Now I was starting to feel like a terrible person on top of it. I was feeling like I was going to be a deadbeat. I wasn't going to be there for my kids in these hugely important years of their life. I was going to miss quality time in the evening with my wife once the kids went down. It was only about 6 weeks, but felt like my life was just unraveling. Now, I know a lot of you who may be watching this have struggled with issues like this for months or even years or decades. I can't even imagine your struggle. All I knew is that I didn't want to feel that way forever. I wanted to look forward, not be locked in a mental prison. So I went for help. My primary care physician started me on an antidepressant. Unfortunately, that drug takes time to build up in the system, 4 to 6 weeks. As of this video, I haven't even been on it long enough for it to probably really grab hold. He also prescribed me a sleep aid. But even with these tools, I still kept up with the alcohol until eventually I snapped. I went to see another doctor while my physician was out of the office, and she was compassionate. She prescribed me more of an immediate anxiety triage medication, and she recommended that I see a sleep specialist. And this is the part that, if you've made it this far, I hope it resonates with you. The sleep and lung doctor was the best appointment I've ever had. He looked at my vitals, he heard my description of what was going on, and I thought it would end up with me in a clinic hooked up to a bunch of machines getting a sleep study done. But nope, that's not what happened at all. He took one look at me and he said, listen, there's nothing physically wrong with you. This is psychological. He said, you need cognitive behavioral therapy. And most importantly, you need to stop the alcohol. I said something like, well, it's helping me sleep. And then he challenged me. He asked if it really was. How did I feel each day? Did I feel like I was sleeping? Did I feel restful? Nope. I felt horrible every day. That's the reality. He was right. Hit me like a ton of bricks. But then I said, well, it's just a tool, like the sleep prescriptions that you guys have prescribed me. I've only been a bad sleeper for a few months. He pressed me again. He said, if you've only been a bad sleeper for a few months, why was I taking sleep aids every night? Wow, I was floored. He called me out and I knew it. He gave me a referral for CBT. Now I have an appointment in a few weeks, the first one. So I want to thank you for watching and joining in on the first video of this journey, what's likely to be a long journey. I want to document this because when I was first researching insomnia, it all seemed so helpless. I found myself on Reddit where people seemed ready to just give up all hope. That was a nasty hole to go down. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'm fully over it. So here's the goal. I'm not just going to kick this. I'm going to become a confident super sleeper. Someone who has the tools to lay down in almost any place, put my mind at ease, and allow myself to do what my body wants to do. I'm not an insomniac. I'm not a bad sleeper. I'm anxious and I'm a worrier. And that is probably all of you too. So here we go. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I've researched CBTI and I know this is going to be hard. There's going to be nights where I don't sleep much. They might ask me to restrict my sleep. How terrifying is that? But I'm going to get through it. And hopefully you can get through it too. I'm not special. If I can do it, I know you will be able to do it as well. So cheers to this journey. Cheers to the journey of recovering from sleep issues and to becoming a super sleeper. Thanks for joining along.